Hello students, welcome back. This is Dr. Mercado speaking. Welcome to Accounting 1329, Payroll and Business Tax Accounting. We are continuing our lectures over Chapter 3 content, which deals with Social Security taxes. Reminder that the textbook that we are using is Payroll Accounting 2022 edition. Okay. Now last time we covered how to complete a Form 941. Now in this particular lecture, I'm covering problem 315. Which deals with completing Schedule B of Form 941. Okay, now there's a lot of information included to be able to complete this problem, so do not get overwhelmed with the information. Okay, the textbook does not go very much in depth about Schedule B. It basically just mentions that if you are considered or are classified as a semi-weekly or a next day depositor, you are responsible to complete Schedule B Form 941, which is a report of tax liability for semi-weekly scheduled depositors instead of Form 941, line 16. So if you are a semi-weekly depositor, instead of completing line 16, you must complete Schedule B. Okay? So this is for semi-weekly depositors. And this is if the tax liability for the quarter it was more than $2,500. Okay? The employer's tax liability is listed by each payday. Okay, so this is what the Schedule B form looks like. It basically has the 3 months. We're looking at a quarter. So month 1, month 2, month 3. At the very top, we have to select the quarter that we're doing this form for, whether it be the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or fourth quarter. Okay, and then we have to identify what days the payments are going to be made and the tax liability for the month. Okay, so the problem states, and like I said, there's a lot of information. We are going to have to be doing some calculations, but once we get the hang of them, it shouldn't be an issue. So it says the taxable wages and withheld taxes for Stafford Company, who is a semi-weekly depositor for the first quarter, and this is for the first quarter, so that will be January, February, and March, follows. And then they give you the paydays. Okay, be careful or make sure that you are aware. These are the paydays, and these are the dates where we're going to be entering our information over here. So if it's on January the 15th, we're going to look for the 15th, and that is where we're going to enter our information. The 31st, and that is where we're going to enter our information. So because this is semi-weekly, we're only going to have 2 payments a month. So we're only going to be using up 2 boxes. In this particular case, it will be the 15th and the 31st. Okay, for month number 1. Okay, so we have all of our monthly paydays, our gross and taxable wages, our FICA withheld OASDI. This is how much was withheld from our employees. Our FICA withheld HI. This is the amount that was withheld from the employees as well. And then the federal income tax withheld. We are being asked, the first requirement is to complete Schedule B of Form 941 for the first quarter of Steve Hazelton, the owner of Stafford Company. Okay, so the top part is just general information. It is the company's employer identification number, which is provided there. That is entered. And the name of the business, Steve Hazelton. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the quarter that we're doing it for. The problem said that we are doing it for the first quarter. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to enter an X there. That way we can, let me see. And once again, I'm sorry, I apologize, but I do not have access to actually typing on the form. So I have to basically create text boxes, and hopefully it lets me type in. But we should be looking at an X in the first box, January, February, and March. Okay, so that is the first part. We have to identify what quarter are we doing this report or this schedule for the first quarter. Okay, now we're going to move down. Now it's very important that we read it. It says use this schedule to show your tax liability for the quarter. Don't use it to show your deposits. When you file this form with Form 941 or Form 941 SS, don't change your tax liability by adjustments, reported on any Form 941X or 944X. You must fill out this form and attach it to Form 941 or Form 941SS if you're a semi-weekly scheduled depositor or become one because you accumulated tax liability on any day was $100,000 or more. So if you are not a semi-weekly depositor but you accumulated a tax liability greater than $100,000 or more on a specific day, you must complete the form. Write your daily tax liability on the numbered space that corresponds to the date the wages were paid. Okay, see section 11 in publication 15 for details. Okay, so this isn't specific for the semi-weekly depositors, but if you're just doing business and your tax liability for any specific date is greater than $100,000, you must complete the form as well. Okay. In this particular case, Stafford Company is a semi-weekly depositor, so we are going to figure it out, okay? So we need to figure out our tax liability for the first quarter, for month 1, month 2, and month 3, so we can calculate our tax liability for the quarter. So it'll be month 1, January, month 2, February, and then month 3, March, okay? So let's start with the January 15th payday. How am I going to calculate the amount that goes in box number 15, which is for January the 15th, okay? So there's several things that we must include. We must include the federal income tax. Yes, that is correct. We must include the federal income tax. We must include the FICA HI, and we must include the FICA OASDI. Now, for the OASDI and the HI, we need to include both the employee's portion and the employer's portion. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to be doubling up those numbers. Okay, so remember, it's a match. Whatever the employee pays for OASDI and HI, the employer has to match it. Okay, so these numbers are for the employee, but we know that the employer has to match the OASDI and the HI tax as well. Okay, the federal income tax, that's just paid or withdrawn from the employees, so that is no match. The only ones that there is a match for is for the OASDI and for the HI. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to get my calculator out. Okay, so let's look at the 15th. Okay, I know that for that payday, we withheld $1,519 for the employees. I'm going to add another $1,519 for the employer. And then I'm going to get my HI. I know that we withheld $355.25 from the employees. And the employer has to match it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add another $355.25. So we're basically doubling it. One for the employee, one for the employer. And then I'm going to add the federal income tax, which is $3,185. Okay. So my total is $6,933.50. Okay. So $1,519 twice, $355.25 twice, and then $31.85 once. And the reason I'm doing twice the OASDI and the HI is because it's the employees and the employer's responsibility to pay those taxes. Okay. So $69.33.50. So I'm going to put that in box number 15. Okay. And that was $69.33.50. Let me make sure that that's the correct number. I can't remember. $69.33.50. Yes, that is correct. Okay. So that goes on the 15th. Okay. So now I'm going to do the 31st. Same concept. Okay. So what are we going to do, class? We're going to get double the OASDI, $1487.07, plus $1487.07, plus twice the $347.78, double that, and then one time the federal income tax, $30.90. So that gives me $67.59.70. That number is going to go on January the 31st. Okay. So it's not difficult calculations. It's just a matter of making sure that you enter the numbers correctly in your calculator. Remember, we are doubling up HI and OASDI. Okay. Once we have those two, and make sure that you enter them in the correct number. Okay. on the payday. So it has to be the 15th and the 31st. If you have the right amount but you entered it in the wrong date, it's going to mark it wrong. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the tax liability for the 15th pay period and the 31st. So I'm going to add those two numbers to be able to get my tax liability for January. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's add 6933.50 plus 6759.70. That gives me 13,693.20. Okay, so we're going to enter that there. 13,693.20. Okay. So this is the tax liability for month 1. This is how much taxes are owed for the employee and employer portion of OASDI and HI, as well as for the federal income tax. Okay. We're going to repeat the same steps, but now for February. Okay. So let's look at February the 15th. Okay. So once again, I'm going to get my calculator out for February the 15th. I've got OASDI of 1561.78. I'm going to add another one. One's for the employee, the other one's for the employer. HI, 365.26 for the employee, 365.26 for the employer. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my federal of 34.10. Okay. That gives me 7,264.08. That number is going to go on February the 15th. Okay. So February the 15th right here. And I'm going to enter 7264.08. Okay. Now we're going to do February the 28th. Okay. So let's get our calculators out again. Remember, February the 28th, we're doubling up the OASDI. It's 1582.86 for the employee, 1582.86 for the employer. And then I've got 370.19 for the employee, 370.19 for the employer, and then 34.97 for federal income tax. So that gives me 7403.10. Now that number is going to go on February the 28th. Okay, so make sure that we are entering them in the right box. Right there. And that would be 7403.10. Let me just make sure that's the right number, 7403.10. That is correct. Okay. Now we're going to add the two numbers so we can get the February tax liability. This is how much taxes we owe in OASDI, HI, and federal income tax. So it'll be 7264.08 plus 7403.10. That will be 14,667.18. That is going to go in the tax liability for month number 2. So that will be 14,667.18. Okay. Now, last but not least, we have March. So let's look at March. In March the 15th, let's get those calculators out. We're going to go ahead and we're going to calculate for March the 15th. We've got 1,546.90 for March the 15th. OASDI for the employee. We're going to add 1,546.90 for the employer. Now we're going to do it HI. 361.78 for the employee. 361.78 for the employer. And then we have federal income tax of $33.85. That gives me 7,202.36. That number is going to go on March the 15th. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to look for March the 15th. And we're going to enter that number, 7202.36. Okay. Then last but not least, we've got March the 29th. Okay. For March the 29th, we've got 1556.20 for OASDI. We're going to double that. One for the employee, one for the employer. 363.95 HI. We're going to double that. And then $3,400 for the federal income tax. That's going to give me 7240.30. That number goes on March the 29th. Okay. So let's look for March the 29th. Right here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to enter 7240.30. Okay. Now we're going to add those two amounts for March, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the 7202.36 for the 15th pay period and 7240.30 for the 29th pay period. That's going to give me 14,442.66. That's your tax liability for the third month, which is March, okay? So that would be 14,442.66. Okay. So now we have our tax liability for January, February, and March. Remember to put them in the correct pay days. Okay. Now we can get the total liability for the quarter. We're going to add the total for month 1, month 2, and month 3. Okay. So let's get those calculators out. So we have 13,693.20 plus 14,667.18 plus 14,442.66. So that's going to give me a tax liability of 42,803.04. So we're going to enter that in our total liability for the quarter. It will be 42,803.04. Let me just make sure. 42,803.04. Yes, that is correct. Okay. So now this is the liability. This is the amount of HI, OASDI, and federal income tax that is owed for the quarter. Okay, based on the gross and taxable wages, and these are the pay periods. Okay. So the form is now complete. As you can see, it's just two calculations based on the two pay periods for that specific month, and then you get the total for the month. Okay, two calculations for the month and then your total. Once you have all 3 months completed, then you add all 3 months tax liability to get your total liability for the quarter. Okay, so that is the first part of the assignment. Okay, now the second part of the assignment says, using the calendar below, list the due dates of each deposit in the first quarter. Okay, so based on the paydays, by when do we have to make the deposit of those taxes? Okay, so if we go to your book, there is a table that basically tells you when you are responsible to make those payments. Now this is a semi-weekly depositor, semi-weekly. Okay, so I go to my semi-weekly area here, and it basically says, require deposits within 3 business days of the semi-weekly period. If any of the 3 weekdays is a non-business day, add 1 additional business day to the due date. If your payday is on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, the payment is due the following Wednesday. Okay. If the payday is on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, the deposit needs to be made the following Friday. Okay. So here we have January the 15th. Okay, we're going to look at the calendar. January the 15th. Okay, January the 15th right here, it falls on a Tuesday. Okay, so if the payday falls on a Tuesday, it says that the deposit is due the following Friday. Okay, so that means that it is due the following Friday, which would be the 25. Okay. No, the following Friday would be the 18th. It's the right after that specific date. The following Friday. It says within 3 business days. So it's 1, 2, 3. Yes, it has to be the 18th. Sorry about that. Let me just make it another color. There we go. Okay. So the payday is the 15th. It says here that the required deposit is within 3 business days. So then it has to be by the 18th. Okay. And it says here that it's due on the following Friday. So it's due on the 18th. That's within 3 business days. Okay. So for that first one, okay, if the payday is on January the 15th, the deposit is due on January the 18th. Okay. Now let's look at the next one. January the 31st. Okay. January the 31st, okay, falls on a Thursday. Okay. So if if the payday falls on a Thursday, the deposit is due the following Wednesday. Okay? So the following Wednesday after this would be the 6th. Okay, you see, this is Thursday. It says the following Wednesday. So the following Wednesday would be the 6th. Okay. So insert. And I'm just going to do about 3 of these. That way you get the hang of how it's done. Okay. Okay. February the 15th. Okay. February the 15th falls on a Friday. Okay. So if the payday falls on a Friday, which is right here, then the payment is due the following Wednesday. So then that would mean that the following Wednesday would be the 20th. Okay? The following Wednesday would be the 20th. Okay? So remember, look at the table and it says if it's in this particular case, the payday was on the 15th, which is a Friday. If it's a Friday, it's due the following Wednesday. So the following Wednesday would be the 20th. Okay? And that's what basically you have to do. Just look at the calendar, figure out what day the payday is at, and then based on that day, you go to your table and then you identify, okay, is it a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday? If it is, then the deposit is due the following Wednesday. If the payday is on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, then the deposit is due on the following Friday. Okay? So that is how it basically runs. And you can continue doing this. It's not very difficult. It's just a matter of identifying, first of all, what day does the payday fall under? Then go to your table, locate the information, and then you know whether it's going to be due the following Wednesday or the following Friday. Those are your 2 options right there, Wednesday or Friday. Okay? So I'm going to let you all figure out the rest. I just wanted to illustrate how to figure it out. So I've already done that with 3 examples. I've already completed Schedule B for you. So you already know how to complete it, the calculations that need to be done. Okay? Please make sure that you work on your homework assignments, your quizzes. Don't leave them for the end. You have 2 attempts. If you do not score a good grade on your first try, please utilize the second try to improve your grade as well as practice. Okay? Practice makes perfect. Even if you do well and you have time, I would recommend you try it that second time just so you can get more practice and you can be better prepared for when we have our test. Okay? So that is it for problem 315A. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Until next time. Bye-bye.